And now we can start the show. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Positively Awesome Wrestling Podcast. And I done lost these two. Wait a second. I feel naked without these, so now we're good to go. How is everybody doing? Sorry for the lateness. Work and then my internet is being weird, but I think I got it figured out. So in the chat, if you could do me a favor, if you notice me kind of like cutting in and out or being any kind of glitchy, please let me know in the comments. I'd greatly appreciate it. But now that we've gotten that out of the way, Albert, how the heck have you been? And how have you been enjoying your wrestling this week?
You know, it's funny. The more I stay offline, the more I seem to enjoy wrestling. I wonder what the reason is.
I don't believe you.
It's true.
It is very, very, very true. Even though I'm back on the Twitter or X or Toxic Central, I don't live tweet. I'm just not going to do it because I just know what's going to happen. I'm just going to see people bitching in real time, and I don't want to see it, so I'm not going to do it. So
yeah, I'm trying to lessen my time spent on there, but man, there's just some things where I'm just like, this isn't a tribal thing. Like, this isn't a WWE versus AEW thing. It's a human being, thing, and people are like just making everything out to be us versus them, and it's like you're fighting a war that doesn't exist.
It's absolutely silly. My friend asked me, he's like, hey, why'd you even come back? And because he knows how much I hate it. And I'm like, honestly, I'm bored at work. That's the unfortunate part. So I try to just stick to being on it at work. And so far it's been perfectly fine with me. But
makes sense.
Enough of all that jive. We're here to talk about some wrestling, and more importantly, that dastardly, deceitful son of a bee, Finn Balor. Because you can't even. Before we get to it, hold on. We got some comments real quick. Ron, you were waiting, and I appreciate you sticking through and waiting for us, man. I really appreciate it. Hello, as always. Harry, thank you as always for joining as well. What is up? I'm not even gonna put that one up, Harry. You know better. Nobody fears Nikki Bella. Nobody.
It's a fighting words.
We don't work for either company. Don't make a dime. I don't even know them. And the people who do work for these companies that do make dimes from them don't even act this way.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, what are you guys doing? But now we can go back to that dastardly, deceitful, dirty son of a bee, Finn Balor. Demon.
First of all, dirty, how dare you?
Dastardly demon. That's what his name is.
How dare you?
Ooh, he put some bad juju in the universe. And you know it.
He did everything Dom asked him to do.
Yeah, you don't play that game. You know
he did everything Dom asked him. He said, I'm going to go out there and be with JD. He goes, nope, you were supposed to take care of AJ, so you stay back here. He stayed back there. I don't know what else you want him to do. He was very helpful. And he was trying, being that Raquel was hurt, he was trying to have Roxanne help Liv. It's not our fault that Liv, unfortunately,
Roxanne didn't help her very well.
Well, I mean, Liv got hurt 3 seconds into her match. I don't really think there was much of a chance at that point.
All right, well, in all seriousness, I'm not going to lie. I did think this was one of those elaborate works they were going to do. Because, and I'll tell you why. I'm not just someone who's like, I'm afraid to get worked. Work me. I love to be worked.
Yes.
But when Rhea went out, it was with a shoulder injury. Liv went out with a shoulder injury. Rhea went out right when Liv had gotten involved into the mix of things. And then Liv is now going out while Roxanne is going into the mix of things. It's the summer. Last year, it was the summer, and it's going to lead right into SummerSlam. And I was like, they're really trying to do something here. Whether or not they were going to basically copy and paste the storyline, which I don't think they would have done, and I really hope they wouldn't have done, I was of the impression they're doing something with this, and Liv was just showing off her acting chops. With that said, it doesn't seem like that's the case. And it seems like she's actually injured, which sucks even worse because she was involved in some things. And she's been the MVP of the women's division.
It's horrible timing. Like, let's just be honest. It's horrible timing. I mean, she's in a feud. She's having Mike, she's going back and forth on the mic with the women's champion, Io Sky. She's in the middle of building something with Nikki Bella. She's always, in that, she's a women's tag team champion. So there's a lot of things going on. And I mean, this is, look, we all know I'm not Liv's biggest fan, but this is the worst timing. I mean, I feel awful for her because, I mean, this was about to capitalize on all the momentum that she's built. And, it's seemingly this is a pretty bad injury, and it might be kind of like what Rhea's was, which means she might be out for a while. And that's just unfortunate because she was really on a good she was on a good streak.
Courtney says that rat bastard Finn, and I agree with her 100%.
Courtney, how dare you? Thought we were friends.
Yeah, so it's just thinking about Liv was involved with Io. She was getting involved with Nikki Bella, and then there was the looming Roxanne Perez thing going. And then on top of that, like Raquel is involved in this somehow, and she was at the forefront of pretty much. I don't think there's anybody involved with more feuds or potential future feuds at the moment than Liv Morgan was. And it sucks because she's been on fire for over a year now, and now it's like. And
can I ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Are those women's tag titles cursed? I mean, I just feel like every time they get momentum and something happens.
Because it's not like she won them and then something happened. They've had them for a hot minute now. So
for a little while, but they won them at WrestleMania. That was a couple of months ago.
They had them before WrestleMania. No, because they won them back. That's right.
Right, they won them right back. Yeah, after
that one day. I don't count that as
all right, fair enough.
That's just me.
I get you.
I think she just has been the MVP, and she's been getting utilized a lot. And just the body said, "Hey, we've had enough," and did that. Now
it's so unfortunate. There's something so innocuous too. I mean, just a normal takedown that Kyrie does in every match. A bump that Liv takes 15 times a match, and man.
Yeah, I'll say the longest because I've seen a few timetables for the injury, even though I don't think anyone really knows the extent of it yet, because WWE's been pretty quiet. And another reason I did think it was work is because when has WWE ever been known to show replays of someone getting injured?
Yeah, that's true.
Like, I can't recall off the top of my head.
They really don't do that.
Showing it. And they showed it like quite a few times.
2 or 3 times at least, yeah.
So that was weird to me. And again, I don't think it's a work at this point, but if it is, I wouldn't be surprised because of how they've been doing things behind the scenes and everything. And again, Liv Morgan just showing off her acting chops. So, but the timetable, I think the longest one I saw was 6 months. So that would mean she'd be back for Royal Rumble. So before we get back to the Judgment Day stuff, I'll ask this. If Liv returns at the Royal Rumble, put your haterade aside.
She wins
off
it.
Your hater. Hate your hater.
She wins it.
Or whatever.
She wins it.
She wins the Royal Rumble. And do you have a problem with that?
From a booking standpoint, no, absolutely not. From a personal standpoint, of course, but from a booking standpoint, no. How do you not go with who? I mean, think about the pop that's gonna. She's in the get coming back. If she comes back at Royal Rumble unannounced, the place is gonna erupt.
I'll say, like, as of now, I would be absolutely thrilled for her. But honestly, someone else could catch fire, and then it's like, no, they should get it. I don't want to take it away from somebody who gets the hot hand while she's gone, because that's how superstars are made. Like, someone goes down, someone steps up. So I don't want to say outright she should win it. But as of right now, yes, 100%. Because she's been the MVP. Like, as a hater, you know that she's been the MVP for the women's division.
I'm not going to use that term, but yeah, she's been very valuable and has been playing her role very well.
Oh my goodness! All right. Enough with this. Get these
listen, if you want me to be honest, my pick for that has either been Tiffany or Io. I think they've both been on fire.
Tiffany, get out of here with that.
I think Tiffany's been great since she's been up for the main roster.
She has. She hasn't been more valuable than freaking Liv Morgan, bro. Get out of here with that. Get out of here with that. Her WrestleMania nonsense was garbage.
Still say Io is.
Let's see. Coincidence book. Ronald Boer says coincidence happened same way Kurt got a legit concussion in the same match that he was. Yeah, that's true. Like, man, that would be a crazy coincidence to happen though. Like you get injured the same way you were supposed to kayfabe. That's a crazy. That's a once in a lifetime thing that I think would happen. And if Kurt did that, then I'm just gonna say it's never gonna happen again. That'd be crazy. If they need a replacement for the Harry Flynn says if they need a replacement for the Nikki feud, Roxanne and Raquel versus the Bellas or Nikki versus Chelsea Green. Chelsea Green is the one to go with, hands down. She was begging to be wrestling the divas because she is literally the last diva in the world of women's wrestling. So yes, input Chelsea Green. She'll kill it. She'll probably do a better job than Liv would have. Sorry, Liv, but that's just how good Chelsea.
That I'll agree with.
So yeah. Ron says, I feel like this current version of Becky versus Bayley is being booked to make up for the original having no heat. So we'll turn back to this one. I do want to do the Judgment Day stuff, but I will go back to this because I do want some takes. I do want some takes on this. And yeah, this is a Harry brings it up. Liv's got to win the Rumble after being the Rumble for 2 years in a row, which she was the MVP of both of those Rumbles, man. She was awesome in both of them.
Roxanne was the MVP of last year's Rumble. I don't know what you're talking about.
MVP of the Elimination Chamber.
No, she had the longest. She now holds the longest.
I don't care if she was the longest.
Yeah, she was the Iron Woman. She's the ultimate Iron Woman of the Rumble. What are you talking about? Yes,
ultimate.
The ultimate Iron Woman. She has she's stayed in the longest time out of anyone. She set the record.
Nuh-uh.
Yes, she did. Roxanne did.
Bayley. Longer than Bayley.
Yes, she did this year.
Hey, Harry, you got a job to do. Look this up for me.
It's the Royal Rumble. Listen, you can test me on almost anything else. It's the Royal Rumble. Believe me,
I'll give you the benefit of the doubt here, but we got our fact checker here in the comments. So he's going to do that for us real quick because I don't recall them saying this. I do know she was the Iron Woman this year. She had a great showing. Women's Evolution. It feels less like an evolution now because Liv isn't going to be there and Bianca isn't going to be there. What the?
There's no. Is there confirmation that Bianca's not going to be there?
There hasn't been, but it's all I've seen talks on. Like, apparently she's still got an injury. So I don't really follow this stuff. I thought
it was her finger. I kind of feel like that's something that you can kind of,
Let's see. I'm gonna look this one up while Harry does the other stuff. Bianca injury.
That
was a hand injury.
Yeah. But I didn't think it was anything that was like super serious.
A finger injury.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I didn't think it was anything crazy. Like everybody, like they're saying she's not going to be back.
A couple of fingers. And they're saying like SummerSlam. But again, you know how this stuff goes. It's why I tend to not like give it too much. I'm just going by rumblings. Look, that's all I can go off of.
I have a feeling. Look, here's look. We're gonna go into the Judgment Day stuff in a little bit, and I'm gonna echo this for both, for Liv right now, and then talk about with Bianca. I think Evolution is a very huge deal to the women. I think the fact that this is coming back, that they're doing it again, is a very big deal for everybody in the locker room, and I have a feeling that Bianca would push harder to come back sooner to get back for Evolution.
You would think so, but she could just be involved in a match, though. She could be involved in like the Jade Cargill situation,
and I'm okay with that. Maybe even if it's like a special guest referee or whatever, the case is, or there's a way. But the other thing, and this is what I was going to say, you have to figure out a way to get Bianca on that show. Just the same as if I'm WWE, once she gets the surgery and she's okay and she's safe. Because you're not really supposed to fly, right after you had surgery. It's what happened to Chris Candido. Unfortunately, he had a blood clot in his leg, and that's what inevitably caused him.
Shouldn't have flown that plane, man.
He shouldn't have been. But he wanted to work. He got surgery, and he wanted to work.
I get that,
and it's a shame.
That was what doomed him. Is just
it's very unfortunate.
Yeah.
So you wait for it to be safe, for Liv to be healed. And keep her on TV every week. Like, why take her off at this point? I just have a feeling that like you can do the fun stuff without her being there. The teasing with Dominic and
Liv
Roxanne.
Doesn't have to not be on TV.
That's what I'm saying. She can come back after a couple of weeks and be like, just because I got hurt doesn't mean I'm leaving.
But then again, if you're Liv, do you do that? because if you go off TV for 6 months after being on the run you're on, people are going to be clamoring for you.
That's a
And
good
then,
point.
like, you potentially could become a bigger star on the return if you go off TV and make people. Because I said this under, like, because people are talking about, like, oh, Austin
Ooh,
Theory's starting to get cheered and stuff now, and I'm like, yeah, it's almost like what they've been doing or not doing actually is doing what they wanted to do, because absence makes the heart grow fonder. And Austin Theory was
that's
pushed
good.
down our throat, and it's not that he's not good, because he's awesome, but it was like we didn't want it. Like they did. I did. I love Austin
Yeah,
Theory.
same.
People
But
were just like, we
yeah,
don't want to see it. He's Vince's boy. Vince
right,
has a sour taste in people's mouths, so they're like, we
right.
don't want to see this guy. But now they're like, wait a second, we kind of miss Austin Theory, and by not having him on TV, the reactions, that's what I feel like is causing reactions. So when the turn finally does happen, we've been critical of it taking so long, but now I feel like I see what they've been doing, whether it's on purpose or not, I don't know. But I
Right.
feel like them not just pulling the trigger on it right away is going to make the turn so much better. And I think that's what could happen with Liv Morgan here.
I agree. And you know what? What if she returns? Thank you.
You're right.
Just
I was wrong. I just don't recall it. But yep, you're the Royal Rumble champ. I shouldn't have questioned it.
If they do bring Liv back, I would like to even maybe just it's like a month after the surgery. She walks in on something that doesn't look right, even though it might be innocent, and then she's gone from TV for the rest of the time. I'd be okay with that too.
I think I would have a return next week. I think I would have something in play next week, because the play here is Finn is causing drama, whether you want to admit it or not. That's the play here. Finn is causing this drama inadvertently or advertently. We do know, but Albert doesn't know.
He's trying to help. I don't understand what anybody's saying. He's been saying over and over again, him and Dominic are friends.
I feel like her walking up while
He
Finn is
saved
saying something
Dominic.
to Dom, and maybe it's not something that's in favor of Liv, and she just hears it and then turns around and leaves. So the crowd sees this, or the fans see it, but they don't. And meanwhile, Finn is just like, mastermind, and Dom's just like, whatever, and they go forward with it. I do not want to see Dom go from Liv to another girl. I no, because he was so close to getting the babyface turn that I feel like this would just take 2 steps back. And it's repeat booking. Don't do that.
Yeah.
There was no reason for him not to be with Liv, because Liv was awesome to him. She literally was awesome to him. Like, she gave him presents. She treated him nicely. She was great for him. Rhea wasn't. So, and Roxanne don't even know the difference between chicken tendies and chicken nuggets. So she ain't worthy of his time. So, yeah, I'm interested to see the revert they have to do here if it's gonna work.
Yeah, I mean it's going to be interesting because I mean she's the central point of the story that they're telling.
She knows.
Well, you're right. It's all Finn Balor's fault that last week, even after AJ Styles came in and he took out JD McDonough and he was about to take out Dom. Who came in and saved him? Oh, that's right. It was Finn Balor. You're right. It is all his fault because if Finn was out there and Dom would have let him do what he wanted to, AJ wouldn't have attacked him.
Yeah. So Harry brings up a good point here. I would keep Liv out until SummerSlam. But I don't agree with that part, but the next part, like, again, I don't think there's a timetable when she can come back. I want to see what they do, because what I think WWE's always been good at is when things collapse, they really get creative with things. And that's when storylines, because again, they don't see it coming, so we clearly didn't see it coming. So then they have to write something, and it ends up kind of being better sometimes.
Sometimes one of those things that they do that's like for a week, just like, hey, we do this one stupid thing with Sami Zayn in the bloodline, and then look what it turns into.
Exactly. So, but he says Raquel and Roxanne become good friends. Yes, I think Roxanne should just become tag champions with Raquel. And I think that should be the beginning of Liv kind of getting phased out from things. Like, Dom's against it, but then eventually just comes to agree with it because of things that happen, and it's working for them or whatever. And I think that's how I would start the descent, like the Liv getting broken off part. And then when she comes back, drop Roxanne, and she goes no when she drops Liv, and then Liv is off to being a babyface, just like the thing with Rhea that I freaking laid out for everybody that worked masterfully. So yeah, Harry, that's a good idea. The second part, I absolutely agree with you 100%.
Yeah, I was thinking, how do you get out of that?
I'm very interested to see, but Ron here says we're just gonna not even write Carlito off. No, unfortunately, we're not. And he talked about this on Busted Open. He just isn't there anymore. And I wish the PlayStation 5 would have never came back, because it would have been really cool, just fan fiction that like, all right, Carlito's gone and he took the PlayStation with him because that's all he ever did anyway. That would have been great fan fiction. And maybe one day one of them could have brought it up. But yeah, he thought that was his only, I guess, gripe about the release or not being reassigned, is that he feels like it's a disservice to the fans, because it's like there was no payoff, there was just
right. He's 1 week he's there and the next week he's not.
Yeah,
and I never liked that.
They don't even mention it. That's unfortunate and stupid. I don't like that.
They, and even Dom, I think he wore the Carlito shirt like the week after, and it's just. All they had to do was just be like, all right, hey, look, we're not going to re-sign you. And Carlito's not going to be a guy who's not going to do business. He's totally been okay. The tweet that he had was so unserious. Like, oh, WWE's trying to make me pay back them for all the time that I stole by being on contract and not doing anything my whole run. Like, I mean, that's hysterical. Yeah. I think that if they just made something stupid, he doesn't even have to get, like, beat up or whatever. Just be like, oh, yeah, like, yada, 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 and, oh, that's not cool, and then he's gone, like, whatever, just something. I hate it when it's just like somebody's there 1 week and the next week, and in something major, and the next week they're just gone. Like, Look, if he wasn't being booked, okay, whatever. But, I mean, he was obviously a part of television, in a big way. Same thing with R-Truth. Was, a huge part of television weekly, and then all of a sudden he's gone? Like,
so, I don't know if... Man, I won't get into our truth stuff, because I don't think we're ever going to know the answer to that one. I'm of the belief that this wasn't a work, but Kevin Nash did say something that was pretty interesting that makes me think like, oh, okay. But yeah, Carlito, he grew up in the business, literally from a child to now. He's grown up in the business. He knows how it works. There's no way he isn't going to just do business.
Right.
And Ron says, Ricochet got a great send-off with Braun Breaker. He did, and I think it was open-ended, though, because there was still a chance that they could re-sign Ricochet. So the way they took him off was like, if he does re-sign, great. We have a feud for Braun Breaker when Ricochet does re-sign and comes back in like a month or whatever. But if he doesn't, then, hey, Braun Breaker still looks really great because he literally murdered this guy off TV. So I think that was why that one happened the way it did, is because it was open-ended still. They just didn't know, even though they probably should have known.
And not for nothing, you say whatever you want about it. He is way more at home and way more comfortable and doing probably the best work of his career in AEW right now.
Absolutely. If people did, again, I saw it in 2019, so I don't know what. I wish he could have left earlier, honestly. I think he would probably be a world champion by now. So with that said, I don't believe it's going to happen because I don't want it to happen. Do you think there's a chance that Dom does the dumb thing again and cheats on his girl with Rocky?
See, here's the thing. I don't think so. I think that's what they're going to try to do.
It's what they're trying to make people think is happening.
Right. But I don't think so. I think there was a point. Look, you bring up the fact that Liv can come back as a babyface. I think there's a point that we can argue that Liv and Dom were both going to separate from Judgment Day together and be babyfaces.
There was a possibility.
We don't know what happens with Liv and Raquel. I don't know where that goes or how they make that. Maybe they, she turns on her too eventually, But whatever the case looks like, it does seem to me like there was going to be a split. Finn, it seems to have JD, by his side. Dom has Liv by his. Liv and Raquel were, really good friends, but there is that chance that, like we're saying now, what if Liv and Raquel and Roxanne become a tag team and they're quietly getting successful, and then all of a sudden, when Liv comes back, there's that chance that everybody thinks, oh, she's going to be mad at Dom, maybe Dom's not going to be, maybe they're not together or whatever. And that's the catalyst for Dom to making the full-fledged babyface turn with Liv.
So I thought an interesting thing that happens, and maybe I just look too much into it, but I'm fully invested in Judgment Day stuff. I know some people are tired of it, whatever. I don't care. I love it. I genuinely just love the Judgment Day stuff.
And look,
I'm a big Dom fan, though. So
right, we're biased. Your favorite wrestler right now is Dom. Mine's Finn. Like, how are we not gonna, like this?
I did think it was interesting that when they were all going their separate ways, like Dom, you help AJ, you help JD, I'll man the clubhouse. But then they all went their separate ways. And then Finn, I don't remember what he said to Raquel, but for the first time, Raquel kind of seemed like she was cool with the orders that Finn had given. Whereas usually she's kind of standoffish because Liv is always there and Liv isn't with what Finn's doing. But Raquel kind of like because Finn showed kind of like some, like he cared, but for her well-being, like, oh, you're hurt, take some time off. We'll take care of this. You just take it easy. And Raquel kind of like looked like, oh, wow, someone's being nice to me.
Yeah.
Or just being ordered around. Like,
right. Or at the very least, like, all right, fine. At least at least Liv's taken care of. Even if he's got something in his mind, at least Liv's got backup. Like, that's the way I saw it. Like, she was happy that at least,
But that was the first time I feel like she's responded to Finn in a positive way.
Yeah.
And I did find that interesting based on, again, I honestly don't know where they're going to go. I didn't know where they were going to go before, and I really don't know where they're going to go with it now. Let's see.
Yeah, I agree.
Harry says, I say Dom turns on Liv, but Roxanne reveals she's with Finn and not Dom. They attached. See, I don't know how this works for anybody, though, because Liv would be a babyface big time, for sure. And then Finn and Roxanne would be some bastards for sure. But then Dom, where does he go? Because he did a very heelish thing, but now we're supposed to have sympathy for him. It doesn't really work. I don't see how it would work, honestly. I think,
and that really, look, I get it. The idea is to make Dom look dastardly, and that's fine. But the idea was, when he did it. But that's my point. Yeah. That's my point. Because I think the original, he had to be really dastardly. The turn on his own father, siding with Rhea. Then, with that whole thing, it seems like, okay, wait, he's kind of almost getting to be an equal with Rhea right now. Like, okay, he's still a heel, but, do we kind of like Dom because he's guilty by association with Rhea? And then, bam, the biggest heel in the business turns even more heel. Yeah. I don't think you can do that in this situation because people like Dom too much now. And also, being a scumbag, like, at this point, doesn't fully fit his character because it doesn't make sense for it. It made sense with Rhea to a point. Here's this newer, younger model who said, I'm going to treat you better. I'm not going to put you in headlocks and make you feel secondary. I'm going to build you up and be right there for you. Say whatever you want. Like, I'll take the kayfabe hat off, for a minute. The way they've built this story, they've made Liv the more desirable person for Dom. There's nothing in this story that makes Roxanne the more desirable person for Dom.
Between Liv and Rhea, Liv is, and it's not anything to do with looks. It was literally how she treats him.
Yes, 100%.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Yes. They're making Liv the more desirable person. And in this scenario, they're not doing that with Roxanne. Roxanne's just kind of being an opportunist. Yeah. And that's not going to win Dom over. Dom got won over by, Liv. Here's the PlayStation. Here's here's your vest back, Dom. Here's your chicken nuggets. Here's your chicken tendies.
Here's your chicken tendies again.
Right. Here's your chicken tendies pillows. Here's, what I mean? Like, there's always something that it seemed like Liv was doing. And let's face it, Liv, we can say it in kayfabe too. Liv has been the one who has been by Dom's side the first time Dom was ever able to pin Rey Mysterio. He's won the Intercontinental Championship with Liv by his side. There's nothing that Roxanne gives Dom right now that outweighs what Liv's benefiting for him. Like, they're a power couple right now.
So I'm gonna go ahead and put a cooking cap right now. Since we've been talking about it, I think I've figured out a way I would personally do it. And since I should be Dom's personal writer for WWE, I hope they're watching like they have in the past and they listen to my words and work something like this. If the end goal here is to make Dom the babyface, and Liv is going to return, and then she's going to be babyface just naturally because, again,
Absence makes the heart grow
absence makes the
fonder.
heart grow fonder. You have Liv on TV. Oh, what's up? Let me get this in real quick. What is up, Anigo? Thank you for joining.
What's up, man?
What
Good to
is,
see you.
brother? So I think what you would have, Liv stays on TV, and you have Finn continue to use Roxanne, which he's doing, to cause the dissension between Liv and Dom. And you have Dom do nothing wrong. But the perception that Liv has from it, based on just timing and everything, is that Dom is doing something wrong. So that eventually when Liv does leave and stay off TV for a while, it's because she breaks up with Dom because she doesn't trust him and she's not going to go through blah, 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 blah. And that way you feel bad for Dom because he did nothing wrong. Liv was just tricked into thinking he was based on perception. Now you feel bad for Dom. And then when Liv comes back, it's because she can be a babyface and she can go back to Dom because she realized she was being messed with and it wasn't the case, and she's there to help Dom. And that's how I think you can get out of this while having Dom and Liv become massive baby faces out of it and making Finn and Roxanne look like the pieces of crap that they are for doing what they're doing. That's how I would do it, based just like if they were like, we need ideas, someone pitch it. That's what I would throw at them right out the gate and then build on it from there.
So I like that. I think so. I think from my perspective, I think what the smart thing to do here is to inevitably at this point turn everybody in the group against Liv and not do it immediately. I think that Finn's trying to do that, and I think it's easy. I think he can very easily manipulate JD because I don't think JD really cares.
If they start winning right now,
right,
it'll be easy because it's like, hey, Liv's out of the picture and look at us, and then Dom's the one fighting. Like,
right now,
hey, guys, no, yeah,
right. Hey, look, Liv left, and now we're number one contenders for the tag titles. Liv left, but we still have Roxanne teaming with Raquel, and they're defending the titles, and they're doing well. Yeah. Hey, Dom, you're still Intercontinental Champion. You could say you can say that there's a point where, maybe Liv's just not beneficial for it. And slowly but surely it pulls everybody away. And then when Liv inevitably comes back, she comes into the locker room, everybody's almost apathetic. Like, okay, yeah, you came back and you won the Rumble, but you didn't tell anybody. Even Dom maybe looks a little bit like, come on, like you didn't even tell me you were coming back. Like, I get like everybody else. And maybe that even like that's the trigger for Raquel to be like, I don't need her. This Roxanne thing has been fine for me. I don't need Liv anymore. Yeah. And that could now put it on the outs. And the idea could then be, hey, Dom, which side are you on? Are you going to side with her, who's caused us to lose all this time? Or are you going to side with us? And that could make, ultimately make it'll look like, hey, you know what? They're right. I'm going to side with my boys. And at the last second pulls back. And, him and Liv are like almost like the babyface version of Bonnie and Clyde,
I would say this. I'm not against it because I think it could work, and then it could literally lead to a mixed tag match at WrestleMania, and that's fine. That's
well, not if Liv wins the Rumble.
But that's true. But it could lead to a mixed tag match
in between. Yeah, sure, absolutely.
To just literally Finn and Dom. That's a way you could do it. My only thing there would be they would have to get very creative to make this stretch out, the Finn Dom stuff to stretch out all the way until then.
Yeah,
I don't think I want to wait, and I'll bring this up. Because we were just talking about before you hopped in, and he says, let's be honest, this whole Judgment Day has outlived its usefulness. Or three years ago, did we just refuse to pull the plug on it? We were talking about it, like, again, it's probably bias here because I love Dom. He loves Finn. We love it. Like, there's been instances where it did feel like it was lulling and they should pull the plug, but then they just pull me back in. I personally like it. And for it to be a weekly thing, sometimes they're on multiple segments.
Yes.
I think that's a testament to how good it is universally, as opposed to, I can understand why some people would be kind of tired of it. But I think the overall opinion by the masses is that it still has life to it. There was some lull periods. And I'm just really interested to see how they're going to, because I think Judgment Day is coming to an end very soon. I'm curious how it's going to happen now that their plans have kind of been, pulled from the rug has been pulled from under their feet, and now they have to figure out what they're going to do next. So, Ronald says jealousy and insecurity are bad look. I also argue, to be fair, Roxanne was trying hard just to try, whereas Liv was targeting Rhea out of spite and vindictiveness. Yes, she was, but from Dom's perspective, she's treated him awesome. And since they've been together, it's like she could have just kicked him to the curb when she was done, but she didn't. She's still there by her man. She takes hits for that man. She still pampers that man, praises that man. Like, she treats her man like I feel like anybody would want their woman to treat him. Am I wrong?
I mean, she wished a happy father. She didn't wish a happy Father's Day to her dad. She wished a happy Father's Day to Dominic Mysterio.
Exactly. Like, so,
sorry, my laptop unplugged.
You're good. That's how I see it. You're correct from the why it happened, but I mean, she treats him good. So, like,
she does. And look.
Sometimes good things come from bad things. It happens.
Right. And and you can make the argument that even if Liv's intention wasn't to fall for Dom, it was just to get back at Rhea. Something, I think it's just like one of those things where it was just like, oh crap, this also works too. Like, oh, I'm going to take your man just because I can. And it's like, oh shit, well, I accidentally fell in love with him. Like, I kind of feel like that's the whole story between Liv and Dom, which I think is like kind of more fun because it makes Dom then doesn't seem like Dom's just like this player, like he's out to just, go after all these different girls, which whatever, fine. If that's the story you want to tell, great. But it's not. It's mentally, it's, hey, this woman's been like, yes, she broke me broke me out of my shell, and she made me who I am. But she's also kind of been pushing me to the side, and she hasn't been good to me. And now this other girl's coming up, and she wants to destroy my girl, but also by the same time, she's buying me presents, and she's telling me things. She's telling me that she believes in me, and she tells me that she really likes. And it's like, okay, you can see the wheels turning enough for it to not just be Dom's a player, bro, and it being Dom wanted this from Liv because Liv was giving him the attention that Rhea wasn't.
I think what makes me so connected to the whole storyline too, again, as you're breaking that down, it kind of just hit me. By Dom not dumping Liv and going for the next girl because, she's gone and now this girl is showing me attention, whatever, it shows growth in an individual, which is exactly what we want to see with character development. You want to see growth within that character. He did it before because he was young and dumb, but now he has no reason to do it because she's been great, and he grows, realizes that's wrong, and he stands up for her. And I think that is the kind of personality trait that you want if you're going to push someone as a big baby face because he did good, as opposed to just resorting back to the same BS he always did. So Ron says Finn and Dom should be called Finn Dom. Honestly, Dom should have won King of the Ring, so he could have been called King Dom, and then he could have stole Cody Rhodes' theme music because it is now his Kingdom. That's how I would have done King of the Ring, baby. And then he wins the title at SummerSlam, and all is right in the world. But yeah, so I guess one more question about this, and then we can move on. JD, man, it feels like he's the lone, like he's just random in all of this, and it kind of sucks.
I think that there's a big part of this that it eventually turns into JD sides with Finn in all this, and then again, taking the hat off. I'm out of character now. I'm being,
he's being honest.
I'm being real. Obviously, he's seen that Finn's trying to pull all these strings, but I don't think he cares so much until I think that there's going to be points where he's going to start pulling strings that are going to negatively affect him and his career. And I think that's where JD and Finn start having like their own little internal monologue too, where it's like, dude, okay, I get it. You want like all this revenge and you hate Liv, but all right, you're screwing with our careers. Like you're not prioritizing the tag titles or, our careers. You're prioritizing this BS, and we need to get pushed past this. And that's what we're here for. And I think that could inevitably lead to. I can't wait for the inevitable fissure between the two of them and that series of matches because my God, just imagine just Finn and JD just tearing it down against each other.
They wrestled at one of the NXT UK shows.
They did, and it was.
That's the first time I ever saw JD wrestle when he was Jordan Devlin. That's the first time I saw him wrestle. So yeah, and JD's a far better wrestler than he was at that point in his career. So yeah, the matches would be fantastic. I'm just curious where they're gonna go with everything now. I feel like I had some of it figured out until Liv got injured, and now it's like, man, this is kind of crazy. But we do see them winning the tag titles.
Who?
Finn and JD.
Yeah, I think so.
They beat the New Day.
I don't know if they beat the New Day. I don't know if there's a transition in between, or maybe it's in a triple threat or something like that. I think that it happens. I think that to build the story, I think you almost kind of have to, right?
Yeah. Like, I'm just curious how they do it.
Everybody in the group's a champion.
The Raw tag division is a mess right now, so I'm just
it is
how they would do it. But
I mean, you do what is it? The Viking Raiders, the New Day, Judgment Day, and I don't know. There's got to be another babyface tag team that they have on Raw in a 4-way tag team, and then
that's the problem. There isn't like Alpha Academy. Like, come on, nah.
Yeah, I guess they're the only
Amos and
babyface team.
Zawa, pair them up together since they're playing buddy for some stupid reason. But anything that gets Akira back in the ring, I guess I'll be a fan of, because Akira, there's no.
See, Harry, I have a very different view on this. I think that inevitably that whole deal with Braun and Bronson, I think Braun is going to go back to going after singles gold. And I think Bronson Reed's going to be almost like the Seth Rollins protector, and that's inevitably going to be what fissures Bronson Reed away from the group.
What would Braun Breaker go after? He'd go after Dom's belt?
I think that's the only. I think that's the only thing.
Problems, bro. He don't.
Hear me out. Hear me out. No, hear me out. I don't think he goes after Dom. I think inevitably what was going to happen is that one of those two groups are going to be moved off. Like one of those people are going to move off of each other's show. So either Seth's group goes to SmackDown or Judgment Day goes to SmackDown.
No.
Well, it's going to be one of those, and I think that will bring the U.S. title over, which then inevitably sets up Jacob Fatu versus Braun Breaker, and I think that's where you have fun, because now it's going to be even more fun if Jacob's got no backup anymore. He turned on Solo, he's got nobody to watch his back, and now you've got this pack of hyenas, and he's got no friends. I think that it makes a very compelling story for Braun and Fatu.
Okay. All right, and then that initially could set up Jacob going after Seth and just moving him to the main roster.
Right, exactly. Right, to move up the ladder. That's not a bad idea.
I just don't want Judgment Day on SmackDown, because I don't I follow SmackDown, but I don't tune in and watch it live like I do with Raw. And
well, you're gonna have to if that's the case.
Be forced.
Yeah,
it's like, God, don't do this to me. But all right, enough of Judgment Day drama. We could keep going, but let's.
Ron, the answer is all hurt. They're all hurt. All the Tongans are hurt. That's where they are. Tama and Tongaloa are both injured, unfortunately.
Yes. So we're gonna go back to this comment that Ronald had earlier. I do want to touch on it briefly, and then I have one more topic. He brings up I feel like this current version of Becky versus Bayley is being booked to make up for the original having no heat. Yes, I could see that, because I was so excited when they were going to have their feud, because they were the only two of the Four Horsemen that never really did have a good feud, or never had the opportunity to have a feud.
A high-profile feud.
Yeah, yes, and it kind of just fell flat.
I don't even remember it.
Before I give my take on it, I would like to hear yours. What do you think of it so far?
I think it's the best setup they've had, and they're giving them finally an opportunity for them to kind of like shine for both of them. I hate that Bayley had to miss WrestleMania for this, but if the eventual idea is that this took Bayley out of WrestleMania because she's going to win the Intercontinental title and become the first woman to like hold all the Actually, no, I guess Becky is now, right? She's the first woman to hold almost every title. The U.S. title is the only one that hasn't. Yeah,
but.
Yeah, but Becky hasn't won the NXT title, so that would make Bayley like this, like ultra extreme. Like she's got one title left in the company to win. Yeah, until she hasn't won everything. And and
then when she goes to SmackDown, it's like a tailor-made story for her. Like
right, exactly.
Yeah,
right. I think that I'm happy that this story is being told. I'm actually a little unhappy that Lyra Valkyria is now seemingly this afterthought in this story when she had such a good title run. Look, I get it. They had the backstage interaction and all that, and that's fine. But I feel like if they're going with this match, what is it? It's next week, right? I think it's on Raw. It's Becky versus Bayley, which I guess that inevitably could mean that they're leading to either Evolution or SummerSlam, a triple threat, which might be, what's coming to it. But then that convolutes the Bayley versus Becky story because they're inserting Lyra into it too. So I would have rather this had been something that they finished Becky and Lyra. Like they finished it, they were done, they're done feuding, and then Bayley came back to put the focus on just the two of them, and it didn't even need a title in between either of them. You took me out of WrestleMania, you screwed in my career. I'm coming back, and it's ready-made. I just don't like that they had to put the title in between the whole thing.
So I'll touch on that real quick, but I did forget about this, which is crazy because I thought,
damn it,
Becky
Harry's right. That's right.
Because
that's right.
I remember their match at No Mercy being one of the best women's matches I've ever seen in my life.
That's right. She beat Tiffany for it, and then Lyra beat her for it. That's right. I forgot about that.
So what I'll say is I was not a fan of their segment on Raw. I think it was the low part of the show. And it was because, I don't know if it was because they were rushing, which I wouldn't think was the case. Because was this after Liv got injured?
I think it was before. Before.
So maybe
but either way, it's Netflix. Maybe, they don't have a time period, like
maybe they were being rushed, but it just felt like they weren't giving each other, lines or cuts time to breathe. They were literally stacking on top of each other, so it kind of just, I hate to use this term, sounded like a squawking match. They were just barking back and forth, but it didn't feel like a genuine. They weren't listening to each other, is how I get. When promos like that, I just don't feel like they're listening to each other. They're just talking just to talk. And that,
I feel like there was a lot of points where they're trying to get their points in instead of going with the flow of the promo.
Yeah. So I don't know. Again, I don't know if it was a time constraint thing or what, but I just don't like it when promos do that. So I wasn't feeling it. I'm gonna give it time because, again, I think Becky is the best of all time, and I think Bayley is the second best of the four horsewomen because I think she's of Becky is the best all around, but I think Bayley's the second best all around.
Yeah,
when she's on it, I feel like there's been times where she wasn't clicking on all cylinders. I think
a lot of that was booking. I think more than anything else.
I don't think she wasn't clicking. I think it was just, again, the segment just kind of did not work because it felt forced, or rushed. So I do kind of understand what you're saying about Lyra, but I also like the idea of, because I think Bayley's attitude goes well by kind of inadvertently screwing over Lyra.
Oh, yeah.
And it gives us the break between Becky and Lyra because they did have, they have 3 matches? They had Raw and 2 pay-per-views.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, or maybe they just had the 2, but I think giving them a break, maybe giving them a break allows their time to kind of just let that build up.
Yeah, it's a 2 pay-per-views. It was the 2 pay-per-views, yeah.
So I like that because then it also, after, let's just say Becky wins and keeps the IC title, it gives Lyra and Bayley something to do that's not involved with the title, which I always push for. Women's storylines that don't involve titles.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but if, Becky or Bayley wins, then it gives Lyra, even more ammo to go after Bayley because, I never got my rematch. You got in my way, and now I'm here to. So I do think it was a good move to do that. I just hope that Becky and Bayley are able to not let Monday's promo battle dictate how the rest of the feud goes. So that's what I'd say about it. I hated that I didn't enjoy it because I love them both. I just was like, oh, come on, give me something.
Now, I think there's plenty of time to turn this right back around, and I think that they're 2 of the best to ever do it. I think they will.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I'm not worried about it, but I take it off to a little bit of a bumpy. It was a bumpy segment, more so than you would think between 2 people who are probably the best talkers in that division.
Yeah. Real quick. Hey, Harry says he wishes Ethan Page should join Seth's group. I don't think anyone should join Seth's group.
I agree.
But I did like the idea of Ethan Page being the 3rd member at one point because I thought his whole shtick kind of goes with it. He dresses like them. He looks like he would fit in with that perfectly. So, but I want to talk about this and then we'll go to Ron, your last comment. That's how we'll end the show today because that's an interesting and fun one just off the top of our head. Harry says, I think Sami should win King of the Ring this year. Now that we have our final 4, one of those semifinal matches is super interesting. I want to ask, who do you think is winning the King of the Ring amongst those 4 to go on to SummerSlam to challenge for a championship belt?
I think it's Randy or Sammy.
Randy?
It's Randy or Sammy. I think it's Randy or Sammy.
Randy gets another shot.
And that's where I'm leaning a little bit more towards Sammy. I just don't think that it makes sense for Cody to get his title match this way. I feel like it's like, all right, yeah, he earned his way back in it, but why would he have to? He was the world champion for a year. It's very well known that most of the world champions have a rematch eventually.
Yeah.
I also don't like the fact that Jey Uso loses the title and he's immediately put into the spot because, again, most world champions have a rematch. We just saw it. Gunther just got one. So why is Jey going through all of these hoops just to get a title match that he's probably owed already? I don't like that Cody or Jey are in this tournament at all. I think it makes no sense. I think they could have put in somebody like Karrion Kross or El Grande Americano.
El Grande is the play, baby.
But put those guys into those spots, and then you have Cody, who's ready-made for other feuds right now. Like, obviously, he's coming back. He wants Cena. He's going after Cena. You can keep him in that picture with Cena and keep him, and get him to SummerSlam without having to go through King of the Ring. You can do the same thing with Jey Uso getting a rematch. I just don't know why they're in this tournament. In my mind, the King of the Ring is the same thing as it's like, okay, the Royal Rumble, we're putting everybody in, right? Everybody gets a shot. King of the Ring should be a very small group of people who maybe don't get those opportunities as much as everybody else. AJ Styles, that's a great call. Sure, absolutely. I'd much rather be seeing AJ Styles and Karrion Kross in this match than and having Randy versus Sammy than I would Cody versus Jey. It's interesting. Don't get me wrong. Cody versus Jey is going to be an interesting dynamic. To see them face each other is going to be very fun because I'm really interested to see how the crowd reacts to that. But at the end of the day, if I'm doing this, Sami Zayn's the right guy.
Okay. Ron says, don't forget we once wrote off rematch clauses. They did, but I was going to bring this up, but there's also been times where wrestlers go up and say, I never got a rematch, and then they get their rematch. So it's like, that's not even a kayfabe thing anymore. It's like they kind of like with the whole draft situation, they kind of pick and choose when they want to go by those rules or whatnot, right, which is a little annoying. I don't mind it with them going from show to show, but with the rematch clause, I definitely hate it because it's like, no, stick to one or the other. Don't do them both. As I call the switching between shows, it's the unforbidden door. They have those talents and they want to use them on their shows to tell stories. Go, but be my guest. I'm going to be that person for a moment, and I'm going to say AEW fans get so mad when a WWE fan says, well, I don't know who this person is. They're from some other show that I don't watch. You throw them on there, and AEW fans defend it to their dead. And that's fine. If you want to and you're cool with it, hey, have at it. But you can't say that that's okay and then bitch when WWE does it with talent that's literally on their own roster that people already know. So that's my take on it. If I'm cool with the Forbidden Door stuff, I'm cool with the Unforbidden Store stuff. And that's just my take on that. But
all I care about, and I think it gets solved very quickly. Just give me a kayfabe reason why. Like, I get, okay, Cody Rhodes was at Raw this week because he's in the King of the Ring. Sure, okay, fine. But when it's not, when like it's just somebody who randomly shows up and it's like, hey, you're on you're here at SmackDown this week. Here's a match. It's like, give me a reason for them to be there. Just tell me why.
Doing better about that stuff. They'll be like, hey, this person lent this talent because we needed him or something like that. And with Seth, if Seth is on both shows, it's because he's Money in the Bank holder and he could literally cash in on anybody. So that's why he's going from show to show. So I feel like there's reasons for it. But again, I found a way to, I guess, deal with it, and I'm okay with it. And people can say whatever they want about it. I really don't care. But I feel like my reasoning is fine because I don't bitch that they use other talent in the other companies. I may be a little upset that they don't do a better job of helping me understand things, but if they want to use like El Vikingo, they let him wrestle what Kenny Omega. Why would I complain about that after I saw the match? That was awesome. Cool. Right.
But my thing is that like I don't like the inconsistency. And that's my thing. If you're not gonna do it, like, okay, they did the what was it, like the evaluation window or whatever they did, where they were allowing like everybody was allowed on each show. The transfer window, yes. Like, okay, you gave me a reason. That's fine. But I don't like it when they're like, we close the transfer window, and then 3 weeks later, it just randomly this guy shows up on a different show, and it's like, but you closed the transfer window, so why is he here? You know, like that's the stuff I don't like. Like, okay, LA Knight being on Raw made sense. He got his, like, you know what I mean? Like, sure, you know.
I'm trying. Like we would have to sit here and think for a long time, and I don't want to do that at this moment because we're
No,
getting low on
neither
time.
do I.
But I
Yeah.
feel like every time it's happened, I've been able to come to an understanding as to why it was happening.
Yeah.
Again, off the top of my head, I am. Maybe if I like really broke it down, I would be able to find things. But off the top of my head, I feel like there's always been a reason, and they don't tell it. But again, if you watch the shows, you should be able to understand it. And realistically, as a WWE fan, if you're watching Raw and SmackDown, you would know this.
Yeah.
So that's my thing. But back to King of the Ring, you say it's got to be Sammy.
I think he makes the most sense.
My thing with Sammy is that he's now challenged Karrion Kross when the King of the Ring is over. So I don't want Karrion Kross losing. So if Sammy wins, and Ron here said he pitched,
I don't mind Karrion Kross losing to World Heavyweight Champion Sami Zayn. I mind Karrion Kross losing to regular Sami Zayn.
It wouldn't be champion. It would just be after the thing.
If it was up to me, Sami Zayn would win the title at SummerSlam. Like
I'm saying, but the King of the Ring is.
I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying.
A whole month, and I feel like that's when that match would say. And Ron says he liked the idea of Sammy winning it and then defending it against Kross. Here it is, right here.
Oh, okay.
Kross. But again, I don't want Kross to lose, and Kross is not getting a title match at SummerSlam. I'm sorry, he's not there yet. He's getting the reactions, yes, but he's also not going out in front of Raw every week either. He's in backstage. That's going to be the true litmus test for him. I don't want to see him lose, so soon into the push that he seems to be getting. I do like the idea of Sammy winning it though, because I want to see Sammy and Jay in the finals, and I want to see Sammy win a little bit dirty because Karrion Kross has been getting in his ears. And things aren't looking good for Sammy, and then he just snaps. Maybe not like beat Jay down or anything like that, but he pulls his tights or something like that just to get that little bit of an edge. And Jay's like, yo, what? And then Sammy's like, I'm sorry. But it's really what Karrion Kross.
But it's a world title, you know?
And Karrion Kross has been pushing in his head this whole time, like, you're not a good guy, Sammy. And that would be kind of the beginning of those cracks breaking. But
I also like the idea of Sammy winning and being Gunther's kryptonite. I kind of like that idea too. That Gunther just can't beat Sammy.
Yes. And Sammy wins, and Seth cashes in on him immediately, and that's what really sends Sammy into that descent of finally breaking.
Right now, Kross is like, now you see, now you get it.
And then Sammy does the heel turn. Who's not here? I'm sure he'd be ecstatic to hear me say this. Oh my God, I hate it. But at the same time, that's good stuff. So it would go hand in hand with the story they've been telling with Karrion Kross and Sammy, and I would be okay with it. So he's the only one I feel like makes sense though. Like, how does Jay beat Cody though? And it's very weird. I don't.
Jay can beat Cody with Cena's interference because think about it.
But Seth.
Hold on. Good. Think about the promo that Cena cut. Seth won't. If Seth wins, Seth's the Money in the Bank. He won't.
Not yet, baby. We're almost there overtime.
Yeah, we got 3 more minutes. We started late.
2 minutes, baby.
Hey, Seth's not going to cash in on me because he knows that I'm going to take this away. He'll be the only world champion. Yeah. I feel like Cena knows that if Cody wins, and if Randy wins, Cody and Randy are coming after him. Like, there's almost no doubt in his mind, right? So I can see Cena getting involved to cost Cody, and Jay doesn't know. He doesn't see it, and he takes advantage, and he wins. And, of course, Cody being Cody, he's like, hey, dude, I don't care. My beef's not with you, Jay. Go get him. Good luck. And him and Sammy are in the finals.
I like the idea of that's how Sammy beats Randy, because then Karrion can say, you didn't do that the right way.
Ooh, I like that too. And because of the Fatal 4-Way too, he didn't win it the right way either. Yeah. He took advantage, right?
I do like that going for Sammy and Randy. With Jay and Cody, I feel like they're going to. That sucks. I think they're going to cost Jay because Cody. Like I think Ron had seen this or whatever, but I was saying Seth don't have beef with Cody. Because what turned Seth into this monster was all the other crap that was going on. Cody wasn't a problem. Cody was not a problem. And that's
Yeah,
why when Cody came to Jay's rescue, Seth just backed down. He's like, nope. He goes, you were doing things the right way. I helped you. I was with you. My beef isn't with you. But he has beef with Jay because Jay was part of that bloodline bullshit or whatever. And
that's fair. That's a good callback.
So I don't think Jay beats Cody. That's unfortunately, because I do think the drama between a Sammy and Jay match is too good to pass up. And it's why I wanted him to be Money in the Bank winner, because man, him as Money in the Bank winner and Jay as world champion would have been like nuclear stuff.
And just imagine if Sammy says something along the lines of like, hey, I'm going to cash this in at you, on you at, I don't know, SummerSlam. And like 2 weeks before, Jay gets the crap beat out of him and Sammy's sitting there like standing over him with the briefcase and just goes.
Yeah. Like there's a lot.
Right? Like there's so much you can do with that. Like, sorry, I shouldn't have done it this way, but I had to. I never won the world title. You won the world title before me, Yeah.
Sammy wins. Harry thinks that Sammy would win King of the Ring and challenge Cena. That would be interesting, but I don't think so. When is the Saudi show? Is that next Saturday?
So it's something like that. Yeah.
I'm gonna look this up real quick, so I don't.
And Ron, so that's what I'm saying. Sammy upsetting Gunther for another title would be wild, and I think that would be a really cool story to tell. That Gunther writes him off, being like, "Okay, yeah, you beat me, but guess what? You're not the same guy that beat me. You don't have all that going with it. As a matter of fact, you're in a worse position than you were." And then he ends up beating him. I mean.
Hey, no problem, Courtney. Appreciate you joining as always. Go enjoy that WWE Evolve. So Night of Champions is next week.
It's crazy.
It looks like Punk and Cena is probably going to happen. I'm shocked, honestly. I really didn't think it was going to happen. I thought they were going to run it at SummerSlam. So I'm not really sure what John does at SummerSlam. Honestly,
faces the winner King of the Ring, I guess maybe.
But if Sammy wins, I just don't see that.
I don't see it either. And I also don't understand how they get to that thing, because they haven't established that it's like you can face any champion you want. They just said a winner gets the world title shot. So wouldn't it be the guy on your brand?
Yeah, I would. So I'm just curious how.
Right, because 8-8, it would be fair. So why wouldn't Cody would have to face Cena? Jay would have to face Gunther.
Man,
right?
Yeah, I know. No, but man, there would be so many people that would hate this.
Look, you know me. I'm the biggest Gunther fan in the world. I'm the only person I think that was at WrestleMania that didn't cheer when Sami Zayn won the Intercontinental title. I love Gunther. Okay, that is the best story to ever tell, though. For Gunther to be this dominant champion and his kryptonite is Jey Uso and Sami Zayn. Like, I love it because it's not guys that you would expect. Yeah, he beat the greats like Orton. He beats the greats like this guy, but then like. These are the guys that give some trouble. I like that about him. Like, it shows that he's not infallible. And I feel like you need that little bit of infallibility with Gunther because you can't – everybody just expects him to win all the time. And I like that it could be a chance where it's like, okay, he can lose this match. Yeah, like he can lose this match.
And to the Randy pick, I think the match they had at Backlash, what are you going to do that's going to top that?
Yeah, I'm with you there.
That's why I don't think Randy has a chance here, especially if he's going to go after it. I think this is the perfect way for Randy and Cody to kind of blossom. Somehow, some way, I'm not sure how they do it, but
I mean, that promo he cut on SmackDown got right into his face. I love that.
Yeah, we can't keep waiting for this. So that's
that. Yeah.
I want to ask Ron asked a great question. I want to touch it, and then we'll say our goodbyes. We'll make it real quick. I have mine. I'll give you a chance to think for a second to say yours. He asked, question for y'all. Is there anything you wished happened or waited for that never did? He really wanted a full return of DX with all the members or an on-screen click reunion like in the 2000s. So for me, my thing that I wanted to happen, and it's maybe not that crazy or anything, I wanted DDP to dethrone Goldberg for the WCW championship and end his streak because I thought he was the man to do it, and it never happened. They went with the cattle prod bullshit instead, even though Scott Hall was involved, and it was funny. I thought the honor should have went to DDP, and I was very upset that it didn't happen because as much as I loved the NWO, DDP was that dude. And yeah, there was going to be a lot of hate no matter who broke the streak. I don't think there would have been as much hate if it was DDP. He was the people's champion. He
Yeah.
just found ways to win. And that diamond cutter he hit on him at Halloween Havoc was one of the best of all time.
That's one of the best Goldberg matches ever.
Screw an RKO. That diamond cutter was the second greatest cutter of all time to Sammy Guevara's leapfrog off the ladder to Cody Rhodes. That's never going to get topped. But pure cutter, just from a straight match, DDP on Goldberg Halloween Havoc was the most beautiful one I've ever seen. And I freaking cannot stand the fact that DDP didn't do it. So that's mine.
Okay, so there's a few for me. I think one of the big ones. I'm gonna kind of like. I like that you kind of dug a little bit deep for yours, so I'm gonna kind of do the same.
I'm on a WCW kick, baby.
No, hey, you know what? But I'm gonna kind of go around that same area, that same time frame. I wanted British Bulldog to take the world title off of Shawn Michaels, and there was 2 points where Shawn was world champion and Bulldog got a shot, and both of those times I wanted Bulldog to to take the belt off of him and not even hold it for a long time. I was such a big British Bulldog fan from when I was a kid, and every time he got right to that cusp where it looked like he was going to be pushed into that main event stratosphere, I always wanted to see it happen. And I can't remember. I can't remember the exact pay-per-view. But
In Your House something.
I think it was like Beware of the Dog, maybe. That might have been it, where it was him versus Shawn. And I think it was like European title versus world title. And I really thought, I was like, okay, this is the perfect opportunity to give Bulldog like that run. So he gets like the title for like a month. He gets like that career accolade, then he loses it right back to Shawn. I didn't want him to hold it for a while, but I really just wanted to see him get, especially in England in front of that crowd. I think he deserved that moment. That's what I wanted.
In Your House, Beware of the Dog. That's what it was. Good shot.
There we go.
Imagine Warrior ending the streak, bro. That would have killed WCW right then and there. And I hope Gunther beats Goldberg. I don't think you need to hope. It's going to happen.
He's going to chop the dust off that man's chest.
When I really want to see happen, I told my buddies this earlier, I want to see Goldberg no-sell one of those chops and then do one of those primal screams right in Gunther's face, and then Gunther just laughs at him, hits him with another one, and drops him immediately. Like, you stupid old man. I want to see Gunther brutalize this guy.
Yeah.
But I think this can be a fun match. I really think it could be a fun
match. I think that Gunther is going to get the best match that Goldberg can possibly have out of Goldberg.
4 minutes. That's all I'm asking for.
Yeah. Look, Cena versus R-Truth on Saturday Night's main event was what? 6 minutes? That's fine for me.
Yeah, that's a sweet spot for Goldberg, 4 minutes. But that's all for this week. Next week, since Night of Champions is next week, I guess we'll be talking about Night of Champions and all the good stuff going into that. So if there's anything else you have to say, now is your chance to do so. If not, I'm gonna say yeet like Jey Uso and yeet the show to the end, because
let's do it. Yeah.
So thank you guys for joining as always, and make sure you're doing the liking and subscribing and all the other good stuff that helps support. And if you don't, that's cool anyway, because you're listening to us, and that's just as cool. So goodbye and toodles.